Welcome to the Meanwhile in Albania, the podcast where two blokes talk football, nonsense, and everything in between. My name's Ricky, the occasional England optimist, holding this thing together, well, just about. And I'd like to introduce you to Travis.
Yeah, I'm Travis. I think Ricky called me, what was it, the nerd statistician or something along those lines? The international football freak, who is one of the few remaining people who like international football. One first point I'm going to pull out there, though, I do agree with the fact that you hold this together, or you're holding this together, but you just called it Meanwhile in Albania. I'm pretty certain we decided it was going to be Meanwhile in Andorra. Great start. We've got the name wrong. 20 seconds in, maybe. No. Yeah.
Are either of them qualifying?
Yeah. Well, Albania. What they did? They did. Was it Euro 2016? I think.
Yes. Yeah.
Get used to that. I'll put out random stuff about teams that have gone somewhere and done something, and their pedigree. But I can't remember where they are. They're not in our group, are they? No,
they're not in our group.
Yeah.
They're normally in like Scotland's group or things like that, aren't they? Where you think Scotland might nick a win and then they get beat
they go
in the
there
last minute.
Somehow, yeah. Just conspire to lose away at Albania.
So the idea of this is that we talk all things international football, especially with the build up to the World Cup. Obviously, international football is on at the minute. We've got qualifications, we've got friendlies, that anxious time of year again for every club football fan and fantasy football specialist. So what's your views on international football at the moment, Trev? You're always been keen on it. As you say, you're one of the last people who think it's fun.
I love it, right? Because the thing is, right, it's a leveler. It isn't a leveler because obviously you've still got nations that can draw players that, like, you'll have the Williams brothers, and the best one plays for Spain because Spain are a good country. So, like, he goes there. But generally, the thing I love about international football is you can literally have a country that has got like stacked with talent, and they might just have one position that they just cannot fill. Like a great example, Portugal in the noughties and the 90s, loads of great players, couldn't get forward. Doesn't matter. You can't go out and buy one. You just have to have the best guy from your country in that position to come in and play for you. Or you get the flip of it. You get like Liberia. You get like the World Player of the Year coming from Liberia, or like Mkhitaryan from is it Azerbaijan? He's from
yeah.
Like these random, not random, but like these players that are like the best player in their country by miles, and then they just go, right, okay, I've got to play for this nation. So you just get it's way less predictable than club football. Like, don't get me wrong, I love club football, but it's so less predictable in terms of like just being able to go, this team is going to be this team. And also the frequency that, like, and I've heard other people talk about this, but like teams play each other so much now. How many times have you watched Arsenal play Man City, or like, even like Real Madrid play Man City in a competitive game? You see it every year in the Champions League or whatever. So like when you then see like it mixed up and you're like, oh, Mbappe's playing, but like France are like, they're lopsided or whatever. Like, it's very different, so that's what I love about international football.
It's that conversation, isn't it? Everyone's very quick to say when they talk about those star players as well, like, oh, can they do it on a cold Tuesday night at Stoke? It's like, well, are you willing to watch Mo Salah against Djibouti for Egypt? Like, can he pull it out of the bag? Like, because that's going to be more entertaining than watching someone play on a cold Tuesday night at Stoke, surely. And you're going to get more out of it.
Mo Salah against Djibouti without Gakpo and everyone else around him. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, and it's funny you picked that one out. I saw that fixture today as well, and was like, I don't know if have they played already?
It was earlier today, I think, wasn't it? Yeah.
Oh, right. I saw it was in that. I was busy at work, so I didn't get a chance to take a look. But I trust you watched it, right?
in between meetings, maybe a small glance at the score.
Yeah.
Not sponsored by Sky Bet or anything, but
no.
Not yet. Which is an interesting point. We should actually just remind everyone we are doing this for the first time. It is just two guys talking about football, specifically international football. So we are making this up very much as we go along. So bear with us. Enjoy the conversation for what it is. It is just two guys talking all things international football. So with that being said, we've got the qualifiers on, as we said, at the moment. That's a nice little lead into it. What's the main highlights for this week's qualifiers going into that sort of end period now? That it's getting meaty in terms of who's qualifying, who isn't.
Yeah, you've got. I mean, probably the big one that I picked out, sort of like when I was doing a bit of homework, because we had a chat a couple of days ago about doing some homework. And I started having a look through, and other than Djibouti versus Egypt, Scotland-Greece is probably a big game tomorrow, because I think Scotland are better now than they used to be. I remember the days of them sort of like struggling to beat like Cyprus or whatever in their qualifiers, and now they went to the last two European Championships, I think, and then now they're sort of trying to get to the World Cup. You've got Scott McTominay, powered by tomatoes. There's fresh tomatoes that he's getting in Napoli, and sort of like a generation of half decent Scottish players like your Kieran Tierney's and your what's the guy Robertson from Liverpool, and they play Greece tomorrow. I think it's 4 teams in the group. Everyone's beaten Belarus, and Scotland have drawn with Denmark, and now it's right. Okay, if they can beat Greece tomorrow, then that would put them in a good position. And I think second, so you've got, I think at the moment they're behind Denmark and goal difference maybe, and then sort of a win would put them sort of like in a really, really good position to qualify potentially. And again, probably something for us to look at is actually the second place berths in those group. I'm assuming you go into like a knockout thing. So someone who's an international football fan or expert, I actually don't know what happens in Europe now, because it changes all the time. And obviously the additional places everyone's got this year kind of throws it up in the air a bit in terms of what people are going to do. What about you? Anything in Europe that you
Yeah, I think it's there's a lot there, and I was just thinking, talking about McTominay's rising form. Are we classing him in the Mo Salah, Erling Haaland bracket yet? The one person
not yet.
Scotland going.
Couple more Scudetto maybe, and
yeah. They've been a weird entity, haven't they? They've always had a good group, a decent group of players individually. It's just whenever they come collective, it's like they become like the Dutch team of the UK and just start arguing it, and just nothing goes right for them. So there was a few games I think in Europe that I think that I'm interested in. So Serbia, Albania, in terms of just the general hate, I guess.
I didn't realise they were playing. That's like.
Yes.
I didn't think you were allowed. Like genuinely, I don't even mean that as a joke. Like I thought UEFA kept them apart because like there's lots of like bad blood, obviously, because of stuff in the 90s. And last time someone threw a drone over with like the Greater Albania flag or something, and it kicked off, didn't it?
Yeah, well, is it? It was like, was it the last World Cup when you had USA and Iran?
Yeah.
So, like, do you think there are games that you think they try and keep away from each other? But that one, and what was the other game? The Germany. They've wobbled a bit. What's going to happen there?
A bit. I mean, they're bad, aren't they?
that's going to be really interesting. See what's going on with that one. Can they pull it out of the bag towards the end? I don't know. It's a bit like Italy the other year, wasn't it?
Well, even like, I mean, on the subject, before we get onto Italy, like, Germany, I mean, they've got Luxembourg, right? So, like, like, surely you beat Luxembourg at home as well. But they're like, it's a bit like, and we'll touch on Brazil as well later, but like, you almost expect Germany to be good. You hear the name, you're like, oh, they're going to be good and they'll beat this team. And they've actually really, really struggled so far. And you look at the players and you're like, well, you're like, still relying on people like Leroy Sané and Serge Gnabry. And I know they're not starters now. They've got like people that are coming through, but like you just don't see anything that says to you they're going to be like particularly, stronger. And then on the flip of that, the Italy situation as well. I watched that game. They went to Norway and got beat 3-0. And like they're in a bad way. And they keep getting weird qualifying groups. When I say weird, as in like, I look at their groups and I always feel like they've got a difficult game in there, and they end up coming second. Sorry, if we were going to do.
No, it's mind blowing with Italy. I think it's exactly like you say. You expect them to be good, and then suddenly it doesn't quite happen for them.
You hear the name, didn't you? Yeah, it's just Italy. You think, well, they could be good at football, And yeah, this generation of Italians and Germans are actually a little bit underwhelming, and Brazilians, as we'll touch on a bit as well.
But I say, especially when you think Italy, there's been recent champions. It's not
Yeah,
that
yeah.
long ago. So it was like, what happened? What was so bad? It wasn't like they were all old. They had a bit of an Asian squad, but not terribly. Like it's what's gone on there.
Is it
Yeah,
coaching? Is it like that? That's the thing for
yeah,
me. I'm like, is it that they're like? So you look at like they in Euro 2016 they were coached by Kone, and they were quite good, right? They knocked Spain out, quite good. Got beat by Germany in that. Then they didn't qualify for the next World Cup, and you're like, okay, you are still actually rubbish. And then and then they go to Euro 2020 and win it, like you say, and you're like, oh, actually, they have got some good players coming through. Maybe like they've got Donnarumma by that point,
yeah.
and they're kind of like on the up. And then they then don't qualify for the next World Cup. And like, yeah, you have, and there's actually something to kind of talk about on the flip of that as well, the whole North Macedonia thing. But like, yeah, they don't qualify for the next World Cup, and then you're like, okay, they go to Euro 2024. I didn't think they were great. They got out by Switzerland, I think, and they looked rubbish. They looked a bit old and slow, and they played. I think did they play Albania? They might have played Albania at the beginning of that.
Yeah,
when they conceded a goal after like 20 seconds or something. And,
yeah, that's it.
And so like yeah, there were cracks. There were definitely cracks in that side. But you watch these people in the Champions League. You watch like Calafiori play for Arsenal. You watch Di Lorenzo, and then you're like, surely you're good enough to play together and do something.
International football is just one of those odd things where these group of people come together and things just for whatever don't happen. I think coaching is, we'll come on to past World Cups and that later on, but coaching is definitely, England have been victim of that years gone by, where we've had possibly some of the best players in the best positions in the world at that time and still can't get over the line for whatever reason that is. So we've seen it time and time over again. But you mentioned North Macedonia.
They're top, aren't they? They're top of their group. Like, and again, I actually, and I'd like to make out like that I knew this, but like I only knew this because I was doing a bit of homework, and then like, and obviously I know they watched the game again last time when they knocked Italy out in the last. It was like a last minute thing as well. But they're top of a group. I mean, it's got Belgium in it. I think it's got like is it Liechtenstein and Kazakhstan? I can't remember who it is now. It might be. It is. Yeah, I'm literally looking up as we speak. But they're top of their group. They've I mean, Belgium have got a game in hand, but they've also got Wales in there, who you'd like to think would be better than North Macedonia. But yeah, they're maybe that's our shock for the World Cup.
You heard it here first. Get your 10-1 bets on North Macedonia.
I cannot be held responsible for any money lost betting on North Macedonia. I don't know who's from North Macedonia. I don't have any players from North Macedonia.
North Macedonia and Cape Verde final. That would be amazing.
That would be an amazing, yeah.
So some that would be a rubbish tournament. I think for us that would be like the best tournament ever.
Well, we'll touch on that later as well. I think there's like in World Cup. My belief is you kind of you have your shocks and you can have your upsets and your underdogs and that come through, but ultimately at the end you kind of want bigger nations. I always think because you kind of get when you get lopsided games, you get one team that will sit and the other team will attack them. Whereas if you get two big nations like Brazil playing one, even if they're rubbish, they're too proud to sit back, so they'll just play and get beat. As you saw in the 7-1, and so I think there's a time and a place for North Macedonia and Cape Verde. It's just not past the quarterfinals. Sorry, North Macedonians.
That's right. I think that the TV channels will agree with you as well. The advertising of definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
So we touched a bit on there. We've probably talked about Europe. So Africa, we've mentioned Cape Verde. It was interesting. A surprise to me, perhaps not so much for yourself, because I know you've been following them, so you've been like,
They did well for they've done. This is the second qualifying they've done all right in. I think they did all right in the thing because they've got players that have played in like lower leagues. I want to say in England, I can't remember. They've got some half decent players that play in Europe, but lots of people aren't aware of. That's the thing. So like. it is a surprise. I'm not that much of an international football expert to be like, yeah, I saw Cape Verde coming from miles away. But at the same time, a bit like North Macedonia, I remember in the last qualifying campaign that they were in, they actually did all right, and there were conversations about them getting through and sort of like, and I think they kind of like fell at the last hurdle. So now to see them in a position where they could potentially go is brilliant. Like,
Is what I love about this region is it's one of those regions where there's so many standout countries in the fact where you go, they sound like a tournament team, but they should be at a tournament.
yeah,
But then you don't hear them for a few years. South Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, they've all had good tournaments previously or great games. Cameroon, Morocco.
Semi-finalists last time, right?
Yeah.
Algeria, like all of you say, like all those sides that you're like, oh, they could be decent. I've seen them before. One of those players plays at my team, or I've seen play for my side, and you expect something from them.
Yeah, and you can. I think every time the qualifying comes up, you cannot predict who's going to go through because there's just so much else going on in terms of these games, around the games.
As you say, like you have like things like, I mean, I don't know how much home advantage plays a part in Africa like it does in like other places like South America, but like obviously you do have people that just go to places and it could be quite an arduous trip. Imagine like living in like Morocco and having to like fly to Madagascar to play a game. That's quite far, right? Or like, I don't know, Zambia or somewhere down in the south of the continent. Like that's quite a long old trip, right? To go and like, it then throws up like these random sort of like victories or defeats, and then like you have previous bias as well, like Cameroon. Everyone thinks they're going to be good. I think they're struggling this time around at the moment. So like, yeah, it's a really funny like, and maybe that comes from us not watching enough of it, which we obviously will aim to right.
Yeah, definitely. I think because it is that those flights are hard enough as it is, and then you got the added thing of sometimes their flights get cancelled. You got coaches not turning up. Some of the home games aren't played at their home grounds because of other reasons, so they're played at different grounds in different countries, not just around the corner like we would hear in the
Yeah.
They're played on the other side of a continent, like it. So I think it does throw up a lot of scenarios for the qualifying in Africa. But yeah, I'm definitely interested to see where this one leads and who comes out on top in that region. Next, we've probably got Asia. The sort of the final round is looking a bit where like 6 pointers really in every game. You got Japan and South Korea look comfortable, but Australia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, they're all there, but they've all got tricky fixtures as well. So it's going to be a close one, I think, for this one. Again, there's not really any standouts.
You feel like the same teams potentially from Asia at the moment just qualify every time at the moment because of the way it's set up. You kind of get like don't want to sound disparaging, but they kind of get rid of the dross in that first round and people get beaten and that, and then you go through to the next bit, and that's what you say, like you play your Australia and your Japan and you maybe like China and people like that are like half decent. You have South Korea, maybe North, and then like Saudi Arabia. Like it's a weird, Asia's a weird kind of region because like it just seems to be dominated by the same sort of like 4 teams or so that qualify every time round.
And it's huge as well in terms of the we just spoke about Africa.
Travel
arrangements. The conditions in where you're playing the games are different, completely different. The travel is huge. You've also got to go to a camp sometimes in between, not necessarily at the home country because of the travel where all the players are coming from. So it must feel like a mini tournament in itself rather than go into your home country.
Yeah, 2 weeks of like just being on the road. Like you're saying, like in a mini tournament environment. Like we're really spoilt in Europe, aren't we? Because like, England. I mean, I know we're playing a friendly, but we're playing Wales. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you get a bus to Wales, like if you really wanted to, like. But like, you're not playing someone on the other side of the continent. Like if you're, I don't know, like someone, I don't know, like India. I know they're not playing Australia, but let's say you play Australia. That's a flight. That's a proper like half a day flight or something like that to get out there.
It's a once in a lifetime holiday for some people.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, wow.
It's like, yeah, and we moan about having to go to St George's Park before we then go into Wales. Why are we going in opposite directions? It's really not a big deal.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and they're probably getting a jet there anyway, so it's not
Exactly.
really going to take much time. So yeah, and so we've got a couple of regions left to discuss before we go on to other things. We've got South America. We've mentioned Brazil a few times. You know, even you expect them to be there, but even when you hear stories of them playing rubbish, losing games, they still tend to turn up. It don't seem to be a worry for them.
I think I'm going to say it now. You want to? This is my prediction, right? And it's probably not even that controversial to take. I think Brazil are rubbish. I actually think we've gone past the point, and I don't know why. I don't know whether they, like you always get these like I keep seeing people who like talk about how football is being having like flair coached out of it and all of this stuff. And I don't know, and that maybe I'm really stereotyping here, and I'll try not to in future episodes. But like I feel like where football is becoming way more like functional and way less expressive, it's doing people like Brazil out. And their players are obviously going to Europe earlier, so they're not sort of maybe developing in the way that Brazilians used to. You're like, I don't mean that. You'll come to know this, everybody. I'm a West Ham fan, right? Lucas Paquetá, love the guy. Got the assist in the winner in for the winner in Prague. Like decent player. He The fact that Brazil play him in the middle tells you everything about the standard of Brazilian football. No West Ham midfielder would get anywhere near a Brazilian side that has won a World Cup. No West Ham midfielder. And there was like, oh, he might leave West Ham and he'll go to like Aston Villa. I'm sorry, what? Like, no player that ever played in claret and blue has played for Brazil, like a decent Brazil side. I'm sorry. Don't make Trabzonspor, Scunthorpe, Burnley, it doesn't matter, right? No player that plays in. You think Kaká was like, oh yeah, like I'm going to go Aston Villa? No. And Kaká wasn't even, when he won the World Cup with Brazil, he wasn't even the best attacking midfielder they had. Paquetá, and like I said, and the same thing with like Bruno Guimaraes. Not saying they're bad players; they're good players, and they're what their clubs need at this point in time. But as a result, Brazil are very weak. I watched them in the Copa America and they got absolutely annihilated. And I don't even think Argentina are that good, but they're just so much better than Brazil. I think, is it Ecuador a second at the moment in South America? There's like, Argentina have gone. They've like literally a
Yeah,
good few points ahead. I think they're about 5 points ahead, maybe.
yeah.
And then you've got Ecuador on like 29. And then you've got, is it Colombia, Brazil, and someone else?
Chile, Uruguay.
Uruguay, that's it. Not Colombia. I think Colombia doing badly. I can't remember.
Colombia are seventh.
Yes,
So you got Ecuador, Chile, Uruguay, Colombia.
that's it. Yes, yeah, yeah. And I know they're split by like a point, but like Brazil, man, like they're not that good. And I remember like last World Cup when they got knocked out by Croatia, and you saw it coming. They scored. Do you remember? I don't even remember that they scored that goal in extra time when Neymar ran past everyone and scored, and they did a
Yeah.
big celebration and dance, and everyone was like, "Oh, they're back." And then it was like, no, actually, like they're not. They're not. Was it Neymar that scored that, or was it? I can't remember now. My memory. I can tell you anything about a World Cup in the 1990s. I can't tell you whether Neymar. I think it was Neymar that
I think it
scored that.
was Neymar. And I think you're right about the flair because we see it in Premier League games especially now. We get excited when someone does actually run at people now and try things and do things and show a bit of individualism. That side of it is almost being coached out of people.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
And if a person tries dare do it now because it stands out even more. So it's like if they get it, they're under so much more pressure to get it right first time every time.
Yeah,
So if they don't, you know, you've seen it with players like Anthony, for example.
yeah, yeah,
They quickly lose any reputation they had because it's like we don't want to see that anymore.
yeah,
And it's no surprise then teams like Brazil, whose foundations are almost built on that, they're going to suffer because that's where everyone's is really playing their trade is in the club game. So if they're not doing it there, they're not going to do it on international
yeah,
football. So
exactly. And I don't know if you've seen much of Argentina.
I feel like you said the bits I've seen, it's like they look okay. I mean, the Messi thing is still going on.
Yeah,
It's
he
like
can't. Surely he can't play.
you're relying on him still. It's like the
Yeah,
bullshit
that's what I
mechanism at
mean.
play.
It's like 40, and you're relying on him, and you're still better than everyone else in your region.
Sounds like Sunday teams where you got that one
Yeah,
that one that one guy in like black
West Brom.
mundials. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I don't have high hopes of South America in this World Cup, but who knows? It might be okay for them. We'll
Maybe.
see. We'll see. Talking about obviously the World Cup and where it is, USA are qualified, Canada and
Yeah,
Mexico. The
CONCACAF.
last
It's
year.
funny. It's weird, right?
Yeah.
Sorry to cut in there, but like, yeah,
No, no, no.
they like so obviously my heritage is from CONCACAF. My mum's side of the family are of Grenadian descent, and my dad's are of Antiguan descent. Grenada aren't too bad. We are currently third in our group behind Trinidad. And we drew with them as well, which is decent. Like we've had Jason Roberts, which is our probably biggest name of recent times. But it's weird because the weirdest thing about CONCACAF is I don't actually know what the rules are for qualification because three of the teams are there. Like like you've got America, Mexico, and Canada are already qualified, and in previous tournaments, and obviously they've expanded this one, but in previous tournaments that was 4 teams anyway. So like
Yeah.
now I'm assuming some of those extra places are going to CONCACAF teams. So I looked at the thing and I was like, does that mean Grenada have a chance if Grenada? I mean, they're not going to be Trinidad anyway, but like, or finish above Trinidad. But like, have they genuinely got a chance of getting that runners-up berth or maybe getting into a playoff?
So I think it looks like two or three teams are getting in, and at the moment the favourites are Jamaica, Panama, Costa Rica.
Yeah, Costa Rica obviously. I know they're top of that group with Grenada.
Yeah, Trinidad and Curacao are the ones that are looking to spring a surprise almost because the others are sort of not run away with it, but looking like the ones most likely to.
Yeah.
But there's always a surprise result in these games, right? They're hard to predict. So, yeah, I'm interested to see what happens with Trinidad if they look through. I mean, Panama, that'd be amazing to see them in the World Cup as well.
We beat them, didn't we? They were in 2018. Remember that? Jesse Lingard.
2018?
Yeah, we beat them 5-0, 6-0. Harry Kane got a couple. Jesse Lingard. So I told you this.
Wow.
Get used to this, guys. Get used to this. Like,
I must have just thought it was one of those pre-game qualifiers we played. I remember going to see England Trinidad at Old Trafford.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
5-0.
Who crashed the robot?
That was it. Yeah.
No, that was Jamaica. That was Jamaica.
Oh, he done the famous one against Jamaica.
Yeah.
Because that was
the warm-up game. Because obviously we were playing Trinidad in the World Cup, and that rule of why do people always play friendlies against teams that are from the same region as someone else that they're playing in the World Cup? As if Trinidad and Jamaica just automatically play like each other because they're from a similar part of the world. Like, it's random. It's so random. People always do it. Everyone does it as well. It's not just England. But I remember the Crouch thing.
That is ridiculous. I don't even know where the sense comes into that because these countries are so different as well. It's not like the brand of football is the same.
No, it's not like I don't even know what the brand of football in Jamaica or Trinidad is. Like whether they've got a style, tiki-taka or long ball or something. I don't know. Like
that'd be amazing. We'll define a brand. Maybe that's something we ask people to send in. What would you define it as? And I guess finally we've got Oceania, which it just seems too far away to be included in the Asia group.
New Zealand versus everyone else.
Yeah, that extra hour on that flight from Australia is like or extra few hours, I should say.
Yeah.
So yeah, so who you got? New Zealand,
second in New Zealand's group or something like that. Like
Tahiti and Fiji are improving. Yeah, they're getting on. But again,
the only bit of insight I can offer beyond the fact that New Zealand are probably absolutely going to batter everybody there was I remember Tahiti going to the Confederations Cup in 2013 and getting battered there. They got beat. Was it 9-0 or something? Or like something silly, like Spain or someone. I can't remember who it was, but I remember literally watching that and being like, why is this? And I don't mean this disrespectfully, but like just being like, why is this team here? They're just not strong enough to be playing football against these guys. And but like I think they're second, which then then the mind boggles what would happen if you put like American Samoa against like Spain in a competitive game.
It sounds more like a rugby game than
Yeah, yeah, isn't it?
it's a football game. We get some really confused fans turning up to that stadium. It would be hilarious. Um, so so that's really a good roundup of really all the things to come. And we've spoken about some of the really potential surprises, if you like, in terms of who we'd expect to see there. There's a team we haven't really touched on and thinking about. We talked about who's locked in, who's still alive, and that thing. But I know you wanted to talk about Norway, and they seem obvious in terms when you look at their squad, but
Yeah,
it hasn't been something that's been obvious the last few years.
yeah, yeah. They had like a period in the 90s where they were obviously good. And then they like dried up, like all the Norwegian talent went away. And then obviously Erdegaard went to like Real Madrid age like 16 or whatever. And then Haaland turns up and he scored like, was it 10 in like a under 20s World Cup game or something against Honduras
Yeah.
or something? And then like all of a sudden they've just got their acts together, haven't they? And they're top of this group with Italy. I don't see, I mean, partly because Italy aren't as good as they used to be, but I don't see how Italy pass them and stop them going to the World Cup. So that'd be
Yeah.
wicked because, like, it'd be nice to see, like, when you, much like when I talked about the whole George Weah thing, like, and him never being able to play in a World Cup, and like George Best not being able to play in a World Cup,
Yeah.
it will be nice that Erling Haaland potentially will be able to go to a World Cup with his country and like kind of see how he gets on. And like I said, they've got Erdegaard. Anyone else who's Norwegian? I can't remember who else is there. There are. It's like random people because they always have like a random player that you're like, I didn't realise they were Norwegian. Like that Olsen. No, not Olsen. Is it Olsen? Josh
No,
King,
yes.
Norwegian. That was it. Do you remember Josh King that played for like Blackburn or something up front and that the mixed race
Yes.
guy? And he was
Yeah.
Norwegian. Like, like they just have random players that like like you go, oh, I didn't know you were you're a thing. I'm looking it up now. I want to see what they
He was like, nor did I until like the coach came and told me about my granddad. Like,
look
you probably get a lot of that, I guess, on some of these teams as well. And why not? Like you say, if it gets them to a World Cup, I think it would be great for the World Cup to have these players there. That's what you
Yeah,
want.
yeah. So you've got Christopher Ayer, who's at Brentford. Don't know him. Absolutely don't know him. You got another guy, David Muller de Wolf, or Muller Wolf, sorry, not de Wolf. I'm thinking of John de Wolf. David Muller Wolf, that's at Wolves. I'm trying to find Sanderberg from Fulham, to a Norwegian guy. Oscar Bob, there you go. Look, did you know Oscar Bob was Norwegian? I forgot about him. I forgot about him. I did actually know that, but I completely forgot. Then you've got Alexander Sorlov from Atletico Madrid, who sounds like he should be Russian, but I forgot about him as well. Like you've got players. That's what I mean. They've got players that are out there, playing for decent clubs in like Champions League games and stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're going to go. I can't see how they don't really. And they're quite a young team as well. It looks like it.
It is a young team, and they are playing good football together as well. I mean, and when you see what Erling Haaland's scoring as well in those games,
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
You've just got that, and you've got that threat of like if you can stay in a game, he's gonna like score like 5. They also beat was it Moldova in one of their qualifiers like 9-0 or something
10-0. It was 10-0.
Yeah,
and he scored 5, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like he just, like I said, you give it to him, he scores. Like, and he's an absolute beast. So that'd be really good at a World Cup. Be interesting to see.
Just not against England, please.
Dare we talk about England? I know, you know me, and I don't really. I confess, I obviously I'm an England fan, and I watch England, and I watch all their games, and I can literally tell you everything about England at the World Cup, pretty much from the first time we ever qualified in 1950 to the present day. But I never really talk about us loads because I'm quite pessimistic about, like, I think sometimes we're overhyped and stuff, and like it's very like, I don't know, it's a really hard one, England. Much like we were like a Jude Bellingham overhead kick away from limping out of Euro 2024, and then we got to the final, and it's like, actually we had a decent tournament, but like, did we have a decent tournament? I don't know. Like, so we're such a weird team in that sense, and it goes back to your whole thing about coaching as well. Maybe, well, is it coaching? What's your opinion?
Definitely. I think there is a lot to be said for it. I think with England, I'm a pessimistic in that sense. we get overhyped way too much before a tournament, and that's always been just a tradition of the culture, if you like, within the country. I've always liked to say, well, let's see what team turns up in the tournament, because whatever tournament we've been in, we have to build into it. We are a typical tournament team.
Yeah, we never start well. We never
The
start
first game's always rubbish. Yeah, it's always a draw or a loss, a 1-0 loss or something like, or 1-0 win. It's never exciting. And then we build into the games, but we never seem to look comfortable.
well. No,
You know, like I think even when we got to the semi-final in 2018, it was like we were relying on set pieces and things like that. But
yeah.
it's like it's those sort of things. But then when you look at the group of players, and I think it was the first time earlier this week I heard Steven Gerrard be really honest about it, brutally honest, talking to Rio Ferdinand about it. Like he was like, we were egotistical. We had the golden generation, the best players in best positions, but none of us liked each other for whatever reason. And he was like, we don't get on. Like,
I'm gonna say something really controversial here, and it's taken hard. It's not even not even a full pod for me to say it. I actually think the golden generation is the biggest example of a really overhyped England team. I'm not saying they weren't good players, but they played club football alongside very, very good club players. If you look, I think, and I say this all the time to people, but if you look at our performances at major tournaments in the noughties, right, I'd say we peaked at about 2004 to 2002. We were good. 2004 we were good, and I'll talk about this later. We definitely have another episode where we go in on England, right? 2006 we were absolutely terrible. I remember going to that watching that World Cup and being like, we are bad. We struggled against Paraguay. We struggled against Trinidad. We struggled against Ecuador. And everyone's like, oh, can you believe we got knocked out by Portugal? Yeah, I am. I can't believe we got knocked out by Portugal. I'm surprised we got that far. And then we didn't qualify in 08. And that's the same side with Gerrard and those guys. Yeah. Didn't have a hard qualifying group in 08. We had a qualifying group. This is the thing. So we drew with Macedonia, 0-0. And that wasn't North Macedonia. It was regular Macedonia back then. It was the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia, and we drew 0-0 at Old Trafford against them. We drew in Israel 0-0. We lost in Russia 2-1. We lost in Croatia. We lost in Croatia and at home to Croatia. And you're like, can you call yourself a golden generation if that's your record? And then we went to the 2010 World Cup, and we're in a group with Algeria. We drew 0-0. America, we drew 1-0. And I think it's Slovenia, the Jermaine Defoe header. Me and you were together. We watched that. Do you remember? We went out and watched that one. And the point I'm making is I'm like, I appreciate that Steven Gerrard was a good footballer. And I appreciate that Frank Lampard was a very good footballer. And the same thing for Michael Owen and Wayne Rooney. And I'd argue that Wayne Rooney was probably one of the best in the world in his peak. And Michael Owen, you could argue, but his peak was a lot earlier. But I just don't know whether, I think they relied on other people being they were in good teams. Wayne Rooney was in a good Man United team that won the Champions League twice, once. Yeah.
It's true. I think for me, that golden generation ended at 2002. I think that was it. It's the best time when they were all together, and
we were great then,
yeah, when they were all likely to be really good and pull ourselves through something, and probably had the tournament that reflected that in the games they played and the score lines and stuff. After that, it's like you said, we weren't as good as everyone thought we were. We just thought because we've got good players, we just picked them up as.
And if that's the stuff you're saying about Gerrard as well, the stuff where he's saying they had egos, it's going to be a disaster. You're going to not qualify for tournaments. So you're going to get knocked out in the group stage. You've got a bunch of egos in a room that probably aren't, as good as they think they are. Yeah, it's going to go disastrously, which is exactly what happened.
So you hear him talk now, and it's very true. You look at these people working together, Gary Neville, Jamie Carragher, they look like they've been best friends for 20 years, as he says.
Yeah.
Scholesy and others, they all get on and they talk really well now. But 20 years ago, they didn't. And it's you look at the England team now, they're all best mates, no matter what club
they genuinely are, aren't
they? They generally are best mates. They all look out for each other. They all keep an eye on each other. They all support each other. And I think that's been England's biggest difference, which carries them through the last few tournaments, is they are genuinely all playing for each other. And I think that's what's everyone's social media helps obviously seeing that more.
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone's buying into the team in a different way than perhaps what we were doing it last time. It was, oh, it's another tournament, so it means automatically England are going to win. We're going to release a load of songs. We're going to go for it.
You know, I love as well, actually, that I was just, before you said about the songs, the squad reveal videos. Do you remember the last one? Those are brilliant. Those are actually, we nailed that. Like, no one's got a video as good as that, like, of all the other countries I've seen, or any sort of way of announcing their squad. That was brilliant, the one we did for Euro 2024.
That was absolutely.
And I think the one before was good as well. I think I can't remember what it was now, but yeah, I remember thinking to myself, that's good.
Was that the one where they did the original clubs? Was it or something like that? Was that the original clubs when they had their T-shirts or something from their?
Something like that. Yeah. So I mean, like, we won that then. We won that. The squad announcement videos.
There's a
squad announcement video. You've never seen that.
There's got to be a trophy for that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots that we've covered tonight and lots that we've gone through, and we've sort of set up other episodes because I think we've got lots that we want to discuss. You know, we definitely got to have one when we going in on England, and talk about future past World Cup memories. We haven't even talked about where the World Cup is yet, where it's going to be hosted between the three countries. We're doing whole segments on host cities, and the controversies related to that. You know, are they actually going to be held? But they said they're going to be held. FIFA have got one view. I mean, it's
as a World Cup purist, I'm like, God, what's wrong with that, man?
I'm just glad that FIFA have already sort of trying to draw the line in the sand with that. So I think there's actually quite a lot to look forward to in the next episode, actually. So if we could probably save host cities for the next one, and we'll look ahead at World Cup memories, upsets, favorite players, and so forth. And obviously a roundup of what's going to happen this weekend, because there's still lots to happen, and we want to know what goes on. And
see if Scotland actually beat Greece.
It depends how many tomatoes McTominay has. Let's go. So I think we'll wrap it up there. Thanks everyone for listening. If you stayed with us for the whole thing, hopefully you have and enjoyed it enough to listen again. So it's a goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me as well.
And thanks everyone. Cheers.
Cheers.